How we doing, everybody, and welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trag. I'm your host, Trag. It is Monday, a fantastic Monday, June 3rd, here in the great state of Wisconsin. We're back in the rainy weather, right? We're back in the rainy weather, back to the normal, right? We're back in the norm. Couldn't avoid it for too long, right? No, we don't like the sun that much around here. We like the clouds. We like the rain falling. It makes everything better, but a fantastic weekend. Great weekend. Wasn't able to get on Friday, shoot a show. We had our wedding back in December, as you guys know. If you've been listening for long enough, if you're new, I got married back in December there. About the same time I had my appendix come out of my body. It was just a week later. A week later there, had my wedding, and we wanted to wait for a little bit warmer weather to have the wedding reception, the party. Right, so we had that on Saturday. Lots of setting up going on Friday. There, we go cheap. We're not an expensive couple here, so we don't hire people in to set up for us. We do it ourselves. So a whole lot of setting up going on Friday, partying on Saturday. It was a great party. Great party. Lots of family, lots of friends, everything like that showing up, and great food, everything like that. You can't beat when you have some home cooked food for a party. Can't beat it. Break the crock pots out and make it roll, right? Break the crock pots out, have a couple beers. It's a Wisconsin thing. But it was great stuff. Great weekend. All in all, great weekend. Even better weekend that the Brewers completed that 3-game sweep of the White Sox. Got a little fishy, right? I mean, if you look at that Friday night game, we were setting up. So I was watching a little bit here and there, listening a little bit on the radio there, checking in and out, and I was like, man, they're losing at one point. I was like, oh boy, it's a bad way to start the weekend series here with the White Sox. And then I wasn't even watching when the big explosion of runs happened there. But the Brewers, game one of that series, 12-5 was the final, 23 hits. Let me repeat that. 23 hits. In that game, 23 hits. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous offensive output by any team. I don't care who's pitching, who's on the mound. That is by far, wowza. That was a heck of a performance by the offense that night there. 12-5 was the final. Brewers scored first there in that bottom of the second. White Sox bounced back, though. 3 runs there in the top of the third, made it 3-1. Then the Brewers bounced back with 3 of their own in the bottom of the fourth there, made it 4-3. White Sox got 2 more in that top of the fifth. That was their 5 runs right there. They made it 5-4, and then the Brewers used a big 7th inning, 6 runs there in that 7th inning, and that propelled them out in front, and then they got 2 more in the bottom of the 8th, and that just sealed the deal for them. Looking at that bottom of the 6th there, we had, if you look at it here, or my mistake there, bottom of the 7th, my mistake on that bottom of the 6th talk there. Bottom of the 7th inning there, we had a single lead off, Bryce Terang singles, Contreras singled, Yelich doubled right after that. Just a ridiculous amount of runs coming in there. And then look even further than that, we also had Bauer singling a run in there. Sal Frelick adding on. It was the guys you were hoping to see some production out of, see a big game out of. We saw it out of all of them in this one. Oliver Dunn drove a run late in that one, so good stuff there. Paredes got the win for the Brewers. Soroka took the loss for the White Sox in that one. And, it's crazy to see Michael Soroka kind of running downhill. We saw him with the Atlanta Braves a couple years ago. He was 13-4 in 2019 with a 2.68 ERA. And just to see where he's ended up now, just the craziness that can happen so easily to these big league pitchers. But, we got to look at the box. Out of all the games, this is the box score that's most impressive here. And, you look at the top of the lineup there. Terang, 3 for 5. Contreras, 3 for 5. Yelich, 5 for 6 in that game with 5 RBIs. Talk about getting out of burner there. That was impressive. Then to hear him, he was on MLB Network there talking to him and said that he was up there with Paul Molitor now for the total 5-hit games. And Yelich said, when you get up there with a guy that rakes like that, you're in good company, right? And that's 100% the truth. So Yelich has a very good game. Adames did struggle, 0 for 4 in this game, did draw 2 walks, 1 strikeout, just a little off for Adames in that one there. Bauer's 2 for 6. Hoskins returns to the lineup. That was great to see. Hoskins avoided the minor league stint or the rehab assignment. He just jumped right back in, and what a comeback for him. 2 for 5 in this one. Great for to see Hoskins back in the lineup there. Oliver Dunn did come in later in the game. He went 1 for 1 on the game. Sal Frelick 3 for 4 with 2 walks. We saw Joey Ortiz continue to hit. He goes 2 for 4. Blake Perkins continues to get on that burner. He's 2 for 5 in this one here. Brewers, like I said, 23 hits in this game. They had 12 RBIs in total, 11 strikeouts, 6 walks. Just a dominant performance by the offense there for the Brewers. And I mean, like I was saying there, with Blake Perkins, you look at him over the last 15 games, he's batting .311. .311 over the last 15 games there. 11 strikeouts, 3 walks, 6 RBIs, 14 hits, 8 runs scored, and 45 at-bats. Watch out, Blake Perkins is starting to get hot again. And you look at a guy like Sal Frelick and what he's been able to produce over the last 15 games. 306 average for him there, 9 strikeouts, 8 walks for Sal, 6 RBIs, 15 hits. We talked about it. We've talked about it a couple weeks ago. And it's exactly what we're saying. We said some of these guys are starting to cool off, and this is a moment where it's going to be, what are we going to see out of them? How are they going to bounce back from these struggles? You're going to struggle throughout a year. It was going to be interesting to see how these guys bounce back, right? And, I mean, from what we can see, Sal, Blake, both them bouncing back very well. And, I mean, you even look at some of the other guys in this lineup. A guy like Willy Adames, over his last, even over the last 15 games, he's batting .288. You look over the past 7 games, .385. Willy Adames is hitting there. I mean, you look up and down this lineup and you say, oh, crap. If you have to face the Brewers right now, you're going, oh, crap, this offense is starting to click again. I mean, the Phillies, we're going to talk about that. I mean, the Phillies coming up next, that's a hot team too. So you're going to have 2 pretty darn hot teams facing off against each other in Philadelphia there. And that is, this is who you want to face, right? If you're the Phillies, you've kind of been told through the early stretch of your season there that you have faced some lesser opponents. And if you're the Brewers, you're going to be like, okay, we could probably say the same thing about the Brewers. So how do they look when they face a team like the Phillies? That's going to be the big thing to watch for in this series against the Phillies is you have 2 teams who have, not played a weak schedule by any means. I'm not saying that they've played a complete crap schedule, but what I'm saying is that you got to win the games in front of you. I get that. But if you look at both of them in general, they have played, a lot of the down team. They're not bad teams, they're kind of the middle of the pack team so far, right? And, no Dodgers or anything like that. So it's going to be a dynamite series. I really do hope so. I hope we get it as advertised is what we're going to see in that series there. So like I said, game 1 for the Brewers, though, against the White Sox, fantastic. They were 9 for 27 with runners in scoring position. They left 16 guys on base. That tells you how many more runs they could have scored there. But you put 27 guys in scoring position in that game. That tells you something. That tells you you're putting the ball in play. You're making things happen. Go 9 for 27 with runners in scoring position. That's a pretty good day at the office. That's a pretty good day. Would you love to see more runs out of that? Sure you would. But 23 hits of 12 runs. You didn't get timely hits. There you go. That's the only complaint you could say, right? That's the only complaint you could say there. But looking at the pitching for the Brewers in this one, we saw Tobias Myers go 4 1/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. A little bit of a struggle there for Tobias. Milner then came in for an inning and 2/3, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts. A great performance out of Milner there. A bounce back, right? He had a little bit of a struggling outing his last time. This one was a little bit of a bounce back there. Paredes continues to be the storyline, right? I talked about him months ago on the show here that when I saw him down in the minors there, it was like, this is a guy who could potentially be called to the Brewers. Now we're seeing it here. He looked good in AAA. He looks great in the majors right now. An inning there on Friday with strikeout, 0 ERA, good stuff. And then we saw Herget for 2 innings there, 1 hit and 1 strikeout. That's not all we're going to see out of Herget and Paredes for the weekend there. And they both had some pretty good outings over the entire series here. So good stuff there in that one. Like I said, Brewers win 12-5. 23 hits to 9 hits. That's all you got to say for game 1 of that series. Game 2 was a little bit closer there. This is when I was supposed to be partying hardy, and I was tuning in and out of the Brewers, right? You have to. You have the beer cracked open. You got to be listening to the Brewers a little bit there, right? You got to be. Not Miller Lite, though. Not Miller Lite. I'm not touching Miller Lite, all right? I get it. If you want to be a diehard fan and you want to drink a Miller Lite, well, you watch or listen to the Brewers, you do you, and I will respect you, okay? But I can't do it. I can't. I have drank I've drank Miller Lite in my life, all right? I've drank Miller Lite. What I'm going to say is that I can't drink more than one. I will. Opening day, me and my buddies down, I used to go down to lacrosse there. Me and my buddies used to crack one. Opening day, we'd have one. That was it. They would say the same thing. We'd go into the grocery store, we'd buy 4, because there's 4 of us. We buy 4. We're like, we don't even want the pack. We just want 4. We got to get 4 of these. We're going to crack them, and that's it. That's it for the year there. That's a good. You want to marinate some brats? You want to get some brats ready? You want to soak the brats in a little bit of beer? Miller Lite's good for that. I will give you that. Miller Lite is good for that. Everything else, I don't think so. I'm Busch Light, right? I'm more of a Busch Light kind of guy. That's just where I'm at. I don't know. Maybe through the years I'll get that little taste bud and then I'll be fine with Miller Lite, right? But it's not as bad as Pabst, right? It's not as bad as Pabst. But I'm just not that big of a fan. But so I mean, Brewers Saturday, final in 10. They win extra innings. 4-3 was the finish there. Brewers score 1 there in that 3rd inning, bottom of the 3rd. White Sox had 1 in top. Brewers answered back. White Sox got 2 in there, 2 runs in the top of the 4th. It carried like that for most games, 3-1, heading into that bottom of the 7th where the Brewers tied it up there, 3-3. That led us into extras, and then in the 10th inning, the Brewers were able to walk it off with a Willie Adames single there late. So looking at the box in this one, Joey Ortiz, he ended up back at the top of the order in that one. He was 1 for 5 in the game there with an RBI. We saw Contreras go 1 for 4. We saw Yelich go 1 for 3. Adames goes 2 for 5 in this one. 3 RBIs on the game. Hoskins 1 for 4. 0 for 3 from Sanchez, Perkins, and Churro in this one. Frelick goes 0 for 2. And then we saw Bryce Turang 1 for 3 on the game there with 2 runs scored. 2 big runs for the Brewers there out of Bryce Terang. So good stuff there. Terang continues to mash the ball around a little bit. You can't help but love the story of Bryce Terang, right? You can't help but love the story. Like, this is a guy they were talking about coming into the year. It's like, he's got the glove, he's got all this, but the guy can't hit. Like, this is never going to be a bat the Brewers can count on. He's never going to be this, he's never going to be that. And I mean, we're talking about a guy now who he's still sitting at that 299 average. He's got 3 home runs, 21 RBIs, 20 stolen bases, a 779 OPS right now. I mean, pretty good if you ask me. You look at this guy over the past 7. We've been doing with a couple other guys there. 273 for Terang over the past 7. Over the past 15, he's batting 298. Over the past 30, he's batting 290. I mean, to me, nothing I can complain about on that part. That's a solid, with the speed he possesses, with the IQ that he has, and everything like that, that's a solid leadoff guy for me every single day. That's a solid leadoff guy. And the best thing about the Brewers is they have multiple guys who can lead off. So putting Terang at the 9 spot isn't actually the worst thing in the world, because then he sets up the top of the order with a speed threat on the base paths there. So I can see it working both ways. I love Bryce Terang in the leadoff spot, right? But if he drops down to the 9 spot, I think that's a perfect spot too. I think it's a perfect spot. I love him in the leadoff, but if there's a lefty on the mound, right, and you want to lead off with Joey Ortiz, who is a fine guy to get on base also, I'm all good with Bryce Terang in that 9 spot. Just speaking of Joey Ortiz, we never went over his stats over the past 7 and 9. Over the past 7 games, he's batting .333. Over the last 15, he's batting .321. And over the last 30, he's batting .316 over the last 30 games there. That's impressive. 18 RBIs over the last 30 games, so 18 RBIs this month, basically, or in a month span. That's pretty darn good work out of Joey Ortiz. So good stuff there out of Joey Ortiz. And, I mean, we could go through, player by player, we could go through them. And right now, there's a lot of hot bats. There is a lot of hot bats in the Brewers order. Brewers, 13 strikeouts in the game, 5 walks. Strikeouts were a little bit high there for the Brewers, but hey, I mean, you're going to have games like that. You're going to win games like that. You're going to lose games like that, right? So Brewers, 13 strikeouts. You'd love to see that number maybe get around 10, maybe below 10, right? But you live with it. You move on, right? 7 hits on the game for the Brewers there, 4 RBIs, those 4 runs, and then, like I said, 5 walks for them. With runners in scoring position, they were 3 for 8 on the game, a little bit different than that 9 for 27 that they had the night before, but 10 guys left on base in this one. Terang did have a steal in this game here, so good stuff there out of Bryce Turang. Looking at the pitching staff for the Brewers, Gasser started 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs. Giving up the home run ball starting to become a problem for some of these guys in the rotation. Tobias Myers, Gasser a little bit there. Freddie, as we know, so limiting the home run ball as we go on here is going to be a big thing. Jared Koenig continues to impress out of that bullpen. 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. Solid stuff out of Koenig. McGill did get back into the fold here. And we saw McGill go an inning there with 3 strikeouts. I mean, back to the guy that we knew before he got just completely mashed there in the arm in that Cubs series there. So good stuff to see McGill back on the mound. Payamps continues to look like he's on an upward trajectory right now. 1 inning, nothing across the board for Payamps. And, I mean, you look at him over his past, we'll just say past 7 games here. In 7 games, in 7 innings of work, he has given up 3 hits, 1 earned run, and he's got a 1.29 ERA. That, I mean, we're starting to see Payamps slowly start to get back to the guy we remember from last year. So hopefully that keeps going, because when you get, guys like that, we always forget Devin Williams is still injured. We always forget about these guys. When we start to get these guys back, having a dominant Payamps still in there, you won't want to mess with the back end of the Brewers bullpen. Devin Williams, Payamps, McGill. When Omni Uribe eventually comes back after he serves 1 suspension and gets his other suspension in the bigs, I mean, you're going to have that Uribe back in, and hopefully he's starting to feel it again and starts to get his command back. And then you talk about guys like Peguero and even a guy like Paredes now, who is pitching very well. Hobie Milner, and then you have Koenig on top of that. This is a pretty solid bullpen. This is a pretty solid bullpen already. Just imagine when you add Devin Williams back, and if he gets back into the fold, pitching like we know he can, this is going to be a very good bullpen there. So Gasser, Koenig, McGill, Payamps, then Peguero for an inning there, 1 strikeout. And then we saw Hobie Milner for an inning and a strikeout there late. He got the win in this game for the Brewers. That set up Game 3. The Brewers going for the weekend sweep to end the road trip with an impressive record there. A 6-1 record on the homestand there before they head to Philly, and the Brewers took care of business. 6-3 was the final there. 9 hits for the Brewers in this game here. And it wouldn't be a Brewer game without some fireworks, right? Tommy Pham's coming home. Christian Yelich cans him. It was like, Pham was out by a good 5 feet. Contreras isn't even blocking the plate. He's up heading towards the mound, basically, catching this ball, and catches it, and Tommy Pham slides right into him. Then Contreras, and this is my favorite part about these new Brewers, because they just seem to, like, they are in it. They will let you know, and I love that. Hoskins will let you know. William Contreras didn't hold back. He's puffing up the chest. He's slamming his chest gear. He's telling him, hey, I got you, like that. Don't try that crap. And Tommy Pham was looking for a fight. Tommy Pham was looking for a fight there at the end, because this was his quote after the game. He said, there's a reason why I do all kinds of fighting in the offseason, because I'm prepared to F somebody up. Tommy, I'll be real with you. Be real with you, Tommy. First off, you play for the White Sox, okay? So you can be all pissy because you suck, all right? But I can't help that. You should have just retired, right? You should have just retired after your little stint there with a couple of decent teams. You should have walked out the door. But you did. Kudos to you. You stuck it out. You went to the White Sox. Now you're dumpster fire. And you got canned by Christian Yelich from left field. But I'm going to be real with you. you might fight in the offseason. I don't think you want the smoke in Milwaukee. I really don't think you do. I'm telling you this. Rhys Hoskins is pretty close by, all right? Contreras is walking back to dugout. Rhys Hoskins, he's close by. I'm not messing with that dude. I don't care if you fight in the offseason. I don't care how many bags you hit in the offseason or whatever. I don't mess with Rhys, all right? I don't mess with Rhys. That dude is, they talk about him in Philly. They talk about him in Milwaukee, dude. That is the edge. That is the edge that the Brewers have now is a lot to do with that guy. And I don't think you want that guy, all right? So I'm pretty sure if Contreras can't hold his own, which I'm okay with Contreras holding his own, I would take my chances because, Tommy, you're getting a little bit older there and you're getting a little bit weaker in the knees. But if he can't, I got money on Rhys, all right? I got money on Rhys there. So, Tommy. You should just settle down, all right? You should just settle down. Just calm down. Go back to the south side and just relax, all right? They got nice ice creams down there. I saw the new ice cream, the new sundae that they make down there. Looks fantastic, right? Looks fantastic. Enjoy one of those. Relax. The season will be over before you know it, right? You guys suck. It'll be over before you know it, and then you can move on with life, right? You can move on with life then. You can go to Cancun. You can go to Cancun or Galveston, Texas, all right? Galveston, Texas. I don't know. You can end up somewhere down in the south, some warmer temperatures there for the off season there. But, it's the Brewers now. I love it. I love the edges the Brewers have. They're not afraid to stick the chest out and tell you what's going on. Rhys Hoskins brought a lot of that into the clubhouse, and it really shows throughout all of them. We've had 4 almost scuffles this year. You're talking about Jeff McNeil, right? Jeff McNeil, James McCann, Chris Martin talking with Barry there at first base, and now Tommy Pham. I feel like our list of players that like us are getting slimmer and slimmer every day. But it's fantastic. It's fantastic. People still hate the Cubs, all right? We still hate the Cubs. That's all they need to know is we still hate the Cubs. So with that, this Sunday game, Brewers win it 6-3. Terang 1 for 3 on the game there. Yelich 1 for 4. Adames 1 for 3. We saw a day out of Joey Ortiz, 2 for 3 in that one. Bowers 1 for 3. Sanchez 1 for 3. And Jackson Churro 2 for 4 with that big 3-run home run there. Sanchez also had 2 RBIs in this game, and Bowers with an RBI. So the bottom 3 guys in the order got her done there. And I loved listening to Pat Murphy in his press conference. If you didn't hear it, William Contreras and Willie Adames were not supposed to play on Sunday. It was their day off. Pat was giving them a day off. They were ticked off when they found that out. They heard it. They heard that they weren't in the lineup. They both went into Pat Murphy's office. They told him, basically, we want to play, right? We want to play, Pat. Pat sent him out, brought him back in. He said, okay, you guys are in. So the streak of those two playing together, I believe it's at 60 games now. Both of them on the field at the same time. So 60 straight games of them two playing together. You can't deny the heart of those two guys, of William Contreras and Willie Adames. Those two just want to be out there every day. They want to win. They want to contribute to the win. They don't want to take a day off. They don't have to take a day off, right? I love that. I love the fight that this Brewers team is showing this year, and that's the fight that is going to be a difference maker than what we've seen in years past under Craig. And I'm not going to say that Craig wasn't a good manager, right? He had his moments. I just believe that this year the Brewers are showing more fight. They're showing more tenacity, and that has a lot to do with the guy named Pat Murphy who is instilling that in him. I wouldn't put it past the acquisition of Rhys Hoskins. I think that's a big deal. I really do. I don't know if people really highlight that as much as I do for some of this, just intensity that the Brewers play with now. I really do contribute some of that to Rhys Hoskins, but Pat Murphy, man. Pat Murphy he's got this team playing on a different level. I really do think you cannot look at the Brewers and say Pat Murphy and company have not improved this Brewers team. Just a crazy amount, drastically. Trying to say drastically, right? The big word for a Monday, but it's It's darn right impressive. It's darn right impressive there. So Brewers sweep the weekend series over the Chicago White Sox. But hey, we're about third of the way through. We're just over third of the way through the season here. I want to look at where the Brewers are at team stat-wise compared to the rest of the league. But before I get there, I want to mention some sponsors of the show here first. First, Game Day Supply in Onalaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Onalaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Marshfield Motor Speedway is located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. You got to get down there this summer. Tons of family fun for all ages. All ages welcome there. You can't beat it. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere, great racing. What more can you ask for a great summer day or night there? So get down to the track, Marshfield Motor Speedways. Find the schedule on Facebook or online. Just search Marshfield Motor Speedways. Otherwise, go to my Facebook page. I share out the schedule there too. Whenever they post, I make sure I share that. Let everybody know what's happening down the track. So Marshfield Motor Speedways there, located in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. Sports Scenes, sports cards, and memorabilia located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. You got to get down there and see Al. He's got everything you need, from sporting cards to memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield, Wisconsin, located in the Marshfield Mall. And also Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether at work, whether it was pushing the lawnmower, whatever it was, and you felt something pop, you hurt something, and you're like, I need to get this thing checked out by a physical therapist, get yourself to Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin, and see Chad. He'll get you right. He'll get you back pushing that mower. He'll get you back to weeding the garden, whatever it is. He'll get you back there. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin there. But with that, I want to get to the Brewers' stats through the first third of the year, right? We got to check out the first third. At the halfway point, we'll get to the halfway point, 3/4 of the way through. And then hopefully when we make it to the World Series and I'm drinking a Miller Lite, I tell you what, I'll make a deal. If we go to the World Series, I will live stream a pregame show and a postgame show throughout the playoffs, right? I'm planning on doing a pregame show and a postgame show for the playoffs. If the Brewers go to the World Series and I'm not sitting at the game, I will do the pregame show and the postgame show, and I will drink a Miller Lite. All right, I'll drink a Miller Lite. I would never do that. But if the Brewers make it to the World Series, I will do it. I will suck it up. I will drink it on here. Now, I'm guessing I will probably live stream to Facebook and everything like that. They probably don't like the Miller Lite can in the picture, so I'll put it into a glass, right? I'll put it into a glass. Nobody will know. We'll have Miller Lites together, right? We'll have Miller Lites together for that one there. But, hey, through the first third. I want to talk about through the first third here before we get to the World Series talk, right? Before we get to the World Series talk, I want to get to the first third of the season here. And, just look at the offense. And right now, we look at team average right now for the Brewers. We're talking about a 259 team average. Now, it doesn't seem like it's crazy high, right? But if you look at the team in first place right now is the San Diego Padres. They have a 260 team average right now. Brewers are in second place right now in team average at 259. Followed by the Astros, they're sitting at 258. The Dodgers at 256. The Yankees at 256. We have the Phillies at 256. We have the Royals at 252. We have the Braves down there at 250. And then we see the Baltimore Orioles. The Colorado Rockies, one of the worst teams in baseball, sitting there at 247. Impressive stats out of the Colorado Rockies there in team average. So good stuff there, I guess. They're 10th. 10th in the league in average. That's impressive. That is downright impressive. So, just looking at team average, we talked about before there, with Blake Perkins starting to come around, Sal Frelick coming around. We still have Yelich is still hitting. Contreras is still hitting. Joey Ortiz, Bryce Turang. I mean, you look up and down this Brewers lineup, the Brewers are hitting. The Brewers are hitting, and there aren't many weak points right now. I mean, you could say Jackson Churro. You could add in probably a guy like Jake Bauers. Hoskins, we've only seen a couple games, so we can't really, tool him in and out of this, talk here. But Willie Adames, right? Even hitting there. So, I mean, this Brewers offense is firing right now on all cylinders. Actually, as of Saturday, I believe, they were at the top in team average. The Padres just did jump them there. But the Brewers, second place in team average. That is impressive in its own right there. Stolen bases right now, they're sitting in third in the league. The Nationals, the Washington Nationals with 94 stolen bases on the year there, followed by the Reds, and then we see the Milwaukee Brewers. I wonder who is stealing all the bases for the Nationals out there. That's impressive. 94 stolen bases on the year. I gotta check this stat out for myself there because I don't believe it until I see it. They got four guys with 10 plus stolen bases. Jesse Winker's got 10 stolen. Oh, excuse me there. My voice was starting to go because I was so surprised. Jesse Winker's got 10 stolen bases for the Washington Nationals right now. Wow. Okay. Young's got 17. Lane Thomas got 15. Lipscomb, he's got 10. And then we see Winker with 10. And then we have a lot of 8s. And we have 5, 4. I mean, they're stealing bases left and right. Over there in Washington. So impressive out of the Nationals. A couple of surprises so far of, players and our teams that are higher up on the rankings right now, higher than I would have expected, right? I mean, we're talking about the Rockies before, now we're talking about the Nationals there with stolen bases. Looking at after the Brewers there with 78, we have the Phillies with 69, we have the Tampa Bay Rays with 60, 57 for the Guardians, 57 for the Royals, Angels with 49, Red Sox with 48, and 47 for the Padres right now. Dodgers sitting down with 37 stolen bases. They don't get out and run very much. That's not what they're heavily into right now. Looking at strikeouts, the Brewers are sitting in 8th in strikeouts right now. Not a stat I want to be near the top on, but, right above the Cubs there. I was just looking down to see who's near the bottom there. The Astros only struck out 407 times compared to the Seattle Mariners, who's 612. So that tells you where the spectrum is. The Brewers sitting in 8th there. Reds in 6th. Rays in 7th. Detroit Tigers in 10th. Looking down the line here, the Phillies have struck out 503 times so far. So a little bit of a strikeout issue there. Looking at the walks, the Brewers, you take that. You take the strikeouts being in 8th, but you also have to factor in, okay, now let's look at the walks. Brewers are in 4th in the league right now in walks. Yankees in 1st, followed by the Dodgers, then the Phillies, then the Brewers. They're in 4th. 215 walks on the year for the Brewers. Then come the Cubs with 212 there. The Phillies with 221 walks. The Brewers with 215. So right below the Phillies there basically in walks right now. So pretty good stat there to be higher up on. And then to compare the spectrum there, that's pretty good looking for the Brewers. Looking at RBIs, you're having two of the hottest teams in baseball, run-scoring machines, facing off this next week, Phillies and Brewers. Phillies, 298 RBIs, Brewers, 291. That tells you where they're at right now. Home runs, Yankees lead it with 90. The Brewers come in the 8th spot right now with 67, right behind the Phillies with 68. So now that Rhys Hoskins is back and he's heading back to Philly, we know he's going to launch a couple long balls. We'll get it right back in, right? We'll get right back into it. The Brewers right now in total hits, they're in 4th. They are behind the Astros, the Dodgers, and the Padres. Padres in 1st place there in hits, 547. The Brewers have 524. The Astros have 530 right above them. The Yankees have 522 right below them there. Total doubles on the year right now, they are 7th in doubles in all of baseball. They have 102 compared to 117 for the Braves right now, 111 for the Dodgers, and then Kansas City Royals with 108, Twins with 107, 105 for the Red Sox, 103 for the Rockies. There's the Rockies again. The Diamondbacks with 102 and the Brewers with 102 there. They're both tied for 7th there in the league right now. Triples, Brewers don't hit a lot of triples. 9 triples on the year right now. That is compared to the Tigers, who have 18 triples on this season here. And then we have the Red Sox with 17, Royals with 14, and the Phillies with 13 triples on this season there. So, I mean, you look at this team, you look at on-base percentage, Brewers actually lead all of baseball in on-base percentage right now, 335, compared to the Yankees. They're at 334. Slugging percentage right now, they're fourth in the league behind the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Dodgers. They come in fourth there. And then OPS, right now the Brewers are in third behind the Yankees and the Dodgers. They're Yankees sitting at 774, Dodgers 766, and then we have the Brewers coming in at 752 above the Orioles and Phillies there for OPS right now. That's impressive. I mean, just looking at the stats and just reviewing them a little bit, I didn't review them earlier. I was just kind of going to look at them with you guys here on the show. Runs scored, Brewers second behind the Phillies. Phillies with 313, Brewers with 304. I mean, I was just going to look at it on the show here, and I'm downright impressed looking through the stats here and seeing where the Brewers actually reside on each list. And then you look at the run differential for the Brewers on the year right now. They're the only team in the NL Central right now with a plus run differential. You see the second place Cardinals, negative 41, the Cubs at negative 12, the Pirates, negative 25, and the Cincinnati Reds at negative 7. Brewers plus 63. 304 runs scored, 241 runs allowed. That's your difference. I don't know if I've explained it here, or, I mean, there's people out there who know all the baseball stat lingos, I guess you could say, and they don't. Run differential, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you don't understand, it's, I mean, basically your runs scored, 2 runs allowed, the difference between the two. I mean, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward stat there, but plus 63 of the Brewers. You put that in comparison to some of the better teams in baseball right now. Phillies, they're plus 99, so that's a tough one. I mean, they're dang near plus 100 right now in run differential, but the Dodgers plus 86, so you're looking at the Brewers being third there in run differential in the NL. Looking at the AL, that's where it gets a little interesting. Yankees are plus 107 in run differential right now. 299 runs scored compared to 192 runs allowed. That's impressive, and they don't even have Garrett Cole. I saw he was starting his rehab assignment here coming up this next week, so that's impressive. Yankees, I don't like the Yankees, but the Yankees might be for real this year. That's all I know. They might be for real. So, looking over, I just wanted to jump into the pitching stats right now and look at team ERA for the pitchers. Brewers sitting in 10th right now. 3.83 ERA there for the Brewers. To put it in the spectrum, the Yankees are in first there with the 2.78. The Phillies have a 3.03. Dodgers 3.22. So, Brewers aren't fantastic, but they're definitely not the worst. Rockies with a 5.18 right now. And then you look up the line here. The Cubs come in 13 with a 3.91, so Brewers a little bit ahead of them there even. So, I mean, a couple of bad outings here or there for the Brewers has really, spiked that. But, I mean, if you really think about it, you look at the Brewers as team ERAs right now and ERAs of guys on the team. Even your more steady pitchers just have a steady ERA, right, around that 3 area. So pretty consistent with the talent that you have rolling out onto the field right now. So, I mean, we look at total saves on the year. Brewers, right now, they're in 5th. 20 saves on the year for the Brewers compared to the Yankees, who have 22. So right below the Yankees there in that talk. That's looking at saves to opportunities. So the Brewers have actually had, it looks like 27 opportunities to get a save there, and they have 20 saves in total. Now, that's not saying there's games in there where the Brewers have had the opportunity to save it. They couldn't lock it down. They scored they scored after that. That's not saying that they didn't have that chance to do that, and they did. That's just saying that they've had 27 chances, and they've only, succeeded in it 20 times. So they have 7 blown saves, basically. Not all of them have led to losses there, though. So, looking at total hits given up by pitchers right now. And this is where the Brewers can kind of hang their hats a little bit. They're 13th in all of baseball there in total hits given up. So not a bad spot to be right now. Yankees, they're down in 30th, which is the good spot to be, right? 417 hits. Phillies at 447. Dodgers at 433. So the Brewers a little bit lesser there, 484 right now. Looking at home runs given up, This is where the Brewers also are at close to the top of the list, and they don't want to be. 68 home runs given up on the year for the Brewers. That's in comparison to the worst team in baseball, who currently has given up 78 home runs on the season there. So not a spot you want to be if you're the Brewers. They have a problem giving up the home run ball. They have to limit the home run balls. They have to keep that baby on the ground and let some of these guys try to make plays because they have a very solid infield and outfield that can make plays with them if they could keep it in the park. Brewers walk-wise, they've walked 182 guys, so limiting walks is a good thing for the Brewers so far. Total strikeouts for the Brewers on the year. This is not a good stat for the Brewers, sitting down there in the 23rd spot, 484 strikeouts on the season for the Brewers so far. So, I mean, I guess if you had to say, okay, I mean, let's just think realistic for a second. If we had to think of a weak point for the Brewers at the about third of the way through the year, where's your weak points? Pitching. It's the weak point. Yeah, I mean, it's undeniable. It's undeniable. If you look at it right now, is that saying that the offense can keep up with the torrid pace? Maybe not, right? Maybe they can't. But I think, part of that, to me, is that, okay, if they don't keep up with that torrid pace and they can't keep producing runs like they have been, then you need some pitching to be able to, slow down some of these guys. So, I mean, you have, we hope at some point Devin Williams comes back, right? And Uribe gets back to normal. But that doesn't help out the starting pitching staff. So then you have to hope some guys maybe come back in the starting pitching staff. So then you look at guys like Jacob Junis. Well, when is Jacob Junis supposed to return, okay? And if Junis comes back, is Junis going to be that automatic answer that the Brewers are looking for? I don't know on that one, right? I don't know on that one. And, we're going to talk about a guy like Garrett Mitchell coming back. Is that going to help out the pitching staff? Probably not. So, I mean, I just look through, guys coming back for the Brewers potentially at some point there. And, I mean, DL Hall. When Hall comes back, is Hall going to be implemented back into the starting rotation? Does he pitch like the guy that we thought we were getting from the Orioles, who had lights out stuff, dominant fastball, everything like that? Or is he going to resort back to, I can only give you a couple innings? Okay, then he has to become a bullpen guy. So then where do you fill in that starting rotation? Now we look at Joe Ross. We don't even know when Joe Ross is going to be back. It's still to be decided on him. J.B. Butkus was pitching well before he went out. He's looking at mid-June, but that's a bullpen kind of guy. Jacob Junis, like I was just talking about, mid-June kind of guy there. Garrett Mitchell, potentially June 17th. We could see Garrett Mitchell come back. And then Devin Williams. We're talking about Devin Williams being a late July guy. So if you're going to add, it's got to be a starter, right? It's got to be somebody in starting rotation. Now, do they? I don't know. Maybe they hope that some guy develops down there in the minor leagues and we can bring him up. That could be a potential thing. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to say the least there. So for tonight's game, as far as I've seen so far, I don't believe the Brewers have announced a starting pitcher for what I've seen so far. I was just going to check that out myself there. I know the Phillies have Zach Wheeler going. But from what I've seen, I haven't seen a, probable who we're thinking is going to be in and who we're thinking is going to be out. So I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure who's going to get the ball for the Brewers, if they're going to act as a bullpen day, if they're going to do an opener and then bring in a starter. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Pat Murphy has up his sleeve there. But the Brewers will get to face one of the better pitchers in baseball, 6-3 with a 2.32 ERA there, 85 strikeouts for Wheeler on the season there. Last game out there against the San Francisco Giants, 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks. Game before that against the Rangers, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts in his last appearance against the Giants. This guy's been pitching very well this season. I mean, there isn't a guy right now with the Phillies that isn't pitching very well. They've had pretty good performances out of just about everybody so far this season here. But the Brewers are going to have their hands full in this series against the Phillies, that's for sure. A 5:40 start tonight. 5:40 start for the Brewers taking on the Phillies here. That'll be at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia there. But with that, that's about all I got for today. We talked about a lot of Brewers. Third of the way through the season. Had to get to the stats there, but lots of good stuff still to come for the Brewers. But with that, that's about all I got for today. I'm going to have my buddy Aaron on tomorrow, hopefully. We're going to talk Phillies Brewers because he's a big Philly fan. I love Brewers. We got to get into it after game 1 there. So I'm going to have him on tomorrow. Good show coming up tomorrow. You got to make sure you're tuning in. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. But until I talk to you guys again tomorrow, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river, I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river, down to the river.